Me or
It's me. All right, good. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Abralim ao Vivo, Linguistics Online. I am Maria de Fátima Baia from the State University of Southwest Bahia, in Vitória da Conquista, Bahia. Abralim ao Vivo has a daily schedule of lectures and panel sessions with distinguished researchers from all over the planet and from different fields that investigate the human language. The Brazilian Linguistics Association, Abralim, is organizing this virtual event in cooperation with AUFAL, Associação de Linguística e Filologia de América Latina, ALAB, Associação de Linguística Aplicada do Brasil, LSA, Linguistic Society of America, ALS, Australian Linguistic Society, BAAL, British Association for Applied Linguistics, among others. This morning, I have the pleasure to introduce Irina Samarina, who kindly accepted the invitation from Abralim ao Vivo. Professor Irina is a Russian researcher in the Institute of Linguistics of the Russian Academy of Sciences in the field of linguistics in Russia, Vietnam, Cambodia, India. Her interests are in isolating language, Austroasiatic language, phonetics, phonology. She has papers and monographs on language of minorities in Vietnam. This morning, she is going to talk to us about tonal language. In the talk, have tonal language always been tonal? Vietic language and the monosyllabization process. Thank you very much for being with us. And now, please, Irina Samarina.
yeah. Hi to everybody. So share. Is it share or not yet? Is it okay? Yes. Today I try to give you some information about isolating languages of Vietnam. First, this area, this is Southeast Asia. Geographically, Southeast Asia divided into two parts: mainland Southeast Asia and maritime Southeast Asia. As of our interest, it is mainland Southeast Asia. Yeah, here you are. There are five language families in this area. So it is Austroasiatic, Tai-Kadai or Kradai languages, Austronesian languages. This is one branched only, Chamic branch, Hmong-Mien or Miao-Yao language, and Sino-Tibetan family. So you see five language family in this area. So what is very interesting of this area? We can speak of the mainland Southeast Asia linguistic area because there are five language families, but all of these families have the same typological characteristics. So the same direction of the evolution of the historical evolution of these languages. So what are the main typological features? So first, it is isolating languages. It is isolating languages It means no inflection morphology. Morpheme mostly is equal to word. So to express some grammatic relations, word order is very important. Besides that, some auxiliary functional words are used too. Below you can see one of examples from Isolating language. It is Mai, one of the Vietic languages that we have studied. So it is typical sentences of Isolating languages. It is first Isolating languages. Second, it is so-called syllabic language. What does it mean? The basic unit in the phonological system is a syllable, not a phoneme as in our language, in other languages, but just a syllable. The most languages of Southeast Asia are syllabic languages. What does it mean more? So morpheme usually coincides with a syllable and usually cannot be less than a syllable. And most important, it is that the syllable has a fixed rigidly organized structure that applies to both the number of positions in a syllable and the elements that can occupy this position. I don't know, maybe you know about this language, but I still shall say some words. So it is the typical structure of the syllable of the syllabic language. So it is onset and rhyme. Onset and rhyme. So analogically to our phonemes, it is only onset and rhyme. Rhyme functions as one unit, and then rhyme can be divided into vowel, monophthong or diphthong, and coda. You see, onset is an obligatory part of the syllable. If there is no another consonant, it will be glottal stop. Maybe as so in German, knacklaut. So this is common structure, and from above, on the right above, you see PT. It means prosodic type. Mostly languages of the Southeast Asia are tonal languages, or they share some other prosodic characteristics as as register or phonation.
Irina, excuse
Yes?
me. Do you think you can put the slides in full screen?
Full. Oh, sorry. Sure. Just a moment. Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then, as I said, the syllable has a fixed structure. So today I will mostly talk about Vietic languages. Vietic languages.
Ba.
Or sorry.
Sure.
Okay. So, Vietnamese, sorry.
Sure.
So, about Vietic languages are the part of the Austroasiatic languages. As for Tai-Kadai languages, Sino-Tibetan languages, and Hmongian languages, most languages are tonal. But with Austroasiatic languages, the situation is not the same. Only one part of the Austroasiatic languages are tonal and other are not. Vietic languages is an example of the tonal language in the Austroasiatic language family. This is so in Vietic languages. It is about 30 lexs. Many of them are not described good, or mostly having some vocabularies, only short lists. So in Vietnam, there are 4 ethnic groups belonging to Vietic. This is Vietnamese. You see Kinh. Kinh, it is ethnic Vietnamese. Then it is, as for census 2008, it was 65 million. And now it is about, is estimated, it is about 19 million people. The next ethnic group, Muong. Muong, 1 million. 1 million, it is one number was deleted, yeah. Muong, then Tho people and Tit people. So Vietnamese and Muong are 2 groups and 2 languages well known from the 19th, 18th century. But as for Tho and Tit, the situation is quite different because Tit, we yeah, here you are. This is the classification, genetic classification of the Vietic languages. The main process, the main historical process in this region, that it is monosyllabization process. Monosyllabization process. It means that historically disyllabic words became monosyllabic words through the stage of the sesquisyllabic words. Sesquisyllabic words, it is one of the stage, and there are rather many languages in the Southeast Asia that called sesquisyllabic languages. We will talk about them more concrete. It is between polysyllabic languages and monosyllabic languages. So the main characteristics of sesquisyllabic language is that they have two types of syllables: major syllable and minor syllable or presyllable. And all the languages in this area, they moved from the polysyllabic stage to the monosyllabic stage through this sesquisyllabic stage. And you see, it is very interesting, Vietic languages. So if we see geographic classification, typological classification, and genetic classification, they are rather the same. So, Northern Vietnam, this Vietnamese, Muong, and Muong languages, they are totally monosyllabic languages. Total monosyllabic languages having a tonal system. As for other languages, so it is a group of Northwestern, it is a classification of Paul Sidwell, Northwestern languages, it is a group, and I said the fifth ethnic group, fifth Vietic ethnic group in Vietnam. It is Tho people, so Tho speak Northwestern Vietic languages. They mostly are monosyllabic, but not fully. It is an intermediate and subgroup of Vietic languages, and the other Vietic languages may be considered as a conservative Vietic languages that retained many relict characteristics. And many of them are still sesquisyllabic. First, they are sesquisyllabic. Second, their prosodic system is just in process of changes from register phonation system to the tonal system. So Tho and Pit, historically, these are not ethnic groups unit. Tho is not a unit ethnic group because there are some subgroups and they speak different language. For example, some of them speak language to Tung subgroup, and they are not yet monosyllabic totally, but other Tho people speak dialects of Vietnamese or dialects of Muong languages. So, as for languages they speak, Tho is not a unit group. The same situation is with the Tit ethnic group. Tit ethnic group consists of some mostly conservative Vietic languages. In Vietnam, there are 6 subgroups you can see here. Some lects are in Laos, but they are not yet studied, mostly not yet. And we have our field trips mostly in Vietnam, not in Laos. So it is rather hard to say something. So what is Tit ethnic group? Etymologically, Tit, it means cliff in the languages of this ethnic group. But we were maybe 20 years ago, they still were nomadic groups. We studied this language for the first time. It was in 84 and in 86. Here just you can see some photos of Rook and Arem people. Rook were encountered in 1959 only in the caves. So after that, there was the process of serialization of these groups, and in 1973, officially, different groups were named as one ethnic group as Church. And it seems that one group, maybe one language, and even in ethnologue, there is a Chit language, but you see, I don't know what does it mean. What does it mean, Chit languages? Because you see, Sak, Mai, Ruk, Maleng, Arem, Kri, Hong. The status of these languages are not yet clear. Maybe Sak, Mai, Ruk are dialects, but Malayan, Arem, and Kri, Hong are quite different languages. So you can see this is classification, genetic classification, but by Paul Sidwell. He followed the ethnologue, and below there is the classification of Nguyen Van Lai, Vietnamese linguists, and you can see that with conservative languages, he called Southern languages, and Ruk Mai Sek, it is one subgroup, Arem, it is another group, Maleng, it is the third group, and Krikoi, it is the fourth group. And this is the Swedish list. So maybe Mai and Rook, you can say that it is genetically very close languages, or maybe dialects. But as for our materials, it seems that these are genetically close languages, but still they are different. People, they lived in the central Vietnam, near the Vietnamese-Lao border, in Vietnam and in Laos too. So they sometimes migrated as along the border and across the border. So, about the sesquisyllabic languages, I said already that the main feature, it is two types of syllables. So, minor syllable or pre-syllable and major syllable, or and the main unit, lexical and grammatical unit, it is phonological word. These below you can see the structure, the common structure of the phonological word. Of the sesquisyllabic languages, as of Church languages, as Mai, Ruk, Shat, Maleng, and so on. So S mean as presyllable. The most common structure, it is a consonant and a vowel. It is most more often we can see this type of syllables as presyllables. And then you can see the major syllable. Onset is an obligatory part of the syllable. Yes, and it can be presented by simple consonant or a cluster of consonant cluster, or sometimes it may be so-called middle, as in Chinese too. It is usually wu or yi. Then vowel, it is a sonoric element of the syllable, and then coda. So coda may absent, may be absent. Yes, and very rare, and some languages RM, there might be a consonant cluster as coda too. So some stroke below, you can see schematically how did the monosyllabization process can go. And all the languages of the Southeast Asia, yes, in any language family, you encounter the monosyllabization process. And the tendency is to monosyllabic, the monosyllabic word to a major syllable, but besides the phonetical changes, at once it reflects on grammar, because you see, what are these minor syllable or presyllables? On earlier stages, these were prefixes and infixes. And so grammar of this language partly was affixal grammar. And now, when they moved to the monosyllabic stage, grammar is changed. Grammar is changed too. So from affixal grammar to the analytical grammar. And then about the prosody suprasegmental structure. I haven't not yet told. You see, as for prosodic characteristic, it is phonologically relevant only for the major syllable and not for the minor syllable. So it's something as unstressed and stressed syllables in Europe language, for example. So historically, prosodic characteristics are usually register. I will tell about register and phonation. And when languages from disyllabic stage goes through sesquisyllable stage to monosyllabic languages, Sometimes the prosodic system changed significantly, and some tone differences are arise. So, sorry. So some if we see the Vietnamese language is a tonal language. There are some different dialects. In the northern dialect of the Vietnamese, there are 6 tones, and in the south or in central Vietnam, it is 5 or 4 or 5 or 4 tones. And when we began to study RM language, it was about 40 years ago, the researcher encountered that RM language has not any tones. So how I have, so it is a monosyllabization process, and it emphasizes the structure of the syllable. So the structure becomes simpler. So you see, there was you see this stage, yeah, near the monosyllabic stage. You see here is clusters, consonant clusters, and but there is a tendency to transfer consonant clusters to simple consonant. It is one tendency, and the second tendency, it is the simplification of the coders. So, if we compare conservative Vietic languages have more finals, more coders than Vietnamese do. And on the formation of tones system, there are 2 kinds of the processes. The first one, it was
Yeah.
here below there is schematically six Vietnamese tones. But first, there were only high register, two register, high register and low register. In Proto-Vietic languages, there were voiced and voiceless obstruents. And at one moment, voiced obstruents are disappeared and transferred to voiceless obstruents. So earlier there were pre-syllables, for example, ba, pa, da, da. And after that process, only pa or da. In this, and as compensation to needs to distinguish, so it seems that two registers appeared, two registers, high and low register. So the syllables began to pronounce in high register, but it was historically, it is very interesting, but it is historically voiceless. And low register, it is historically voiced obstruent. So it was the first stage when because the Proto-Austroasiatic there were no tonal systems at all, and Proto-Viet-Muong was not tonal too. So the first stage in prosodic systems, it is high and low register. And when I have told that during the process of monosyllabization, some some coders are disappeared. So here it is. You see, it is. Yeah. So now in Vietnamese, in modern Vietnamese, there is only per, ter, cơ, mờ, nhờ, ngớ, y, and w. So it is 10 quarters, or sometimes they say there is only 8 quarters, because the palatal quarters are the variants ch, the variant of k, and ny, the variant of n. So it is only 8 quarters. But if we compare the quarters in the conservative Vietic languages, you can see glottal stop, then sonorant r, r, l, and then some fricatives s and h. Yes, and the disappearing of these finals produce the change, the further change of the tonal system. So, as for tonals, it is very important. Historically, it was very important in what are onsets and what are the type of the syllable. So, the first column it is open syllables.
Ma chôn lang.
Yes, it is. It is. So maybe I show on this table the process of the how the prosodic systems are began to appear. It is the same processes in all languages, not regarding to their genetic relation, as in the Austroasiatic or Thai languages, and so on. So William Gedney, he it is his diagnostic table of Gedney to how it helps to determine the terms in the concrete language that you are research. So, what does it mean? The first column, it is the quality of the onset, yes? So it may be fricative, voiceless, or obstinate voiceless, and aspirated, or obstinate voiceless and plain. The third class, it is glottal stop, preglottalized occlusives, and then voiced onsets. And then the type of a syllable. So the syllable can be open. It can be half open. So it is the ending. It is lights. Then it can be half closed. So chords are man, and then closed syllables. It is p, t, ch, k, and glottal stop in some languages, and it depends already from short or long vocal. So potentially it in every language it can be 20 different tones, but it is not, the situation is not the same because some types of syllables they have the same tone. So, for example, below it is Cabiao or Pupeo. Pupeo, it is a language in Vietnam. It belongs to the Thai Kadai language family. So when we have worked on this table, we have received about we can speak about 6, 7 tones. And you see, usually in Tai-Kadai languages, 5-6 tones, in Hmong-Mien to 7, sometimes 8 tones, but usually it is 5-6-2. So this table we can use when we research in other languages, and so as for example as Vietic languages, the Vietic languages too. So when we when our last study was the Mai language in Vietnam, we have published the book in Russian now with me and my co-author Kirill Babayev, and now we are preparing to publish it in English. It is a very interesting language, not yet described. So I shall speak about the prosodic system in my language, and how it appeared, and compare it to Vietnamese. When we speak about tones, the first imagination, it is the pitch, high or low. Yes, high or low. Yeah. High or low first, and then they can be level, falling, rising, or falling, rising, rising, falling, and so on. But besides that, and historically, very important are some other phonetic features as register, so as register, and as phonation. Phonation, phonation for Vietic languages. It is important to speak about modal phonation and brave phonation. Brave phonation, it is and it can be a creaky voice, but for Vedic languages it is not so important. And very important, it is presence or absence of the final glottal stop. So when we, for example, when we speak about Vietnamese tones, we can phonologically describe them as tones with a tonal contour, and besides that, there can be another decision, and we can describe this this system in some other characteristics as absence or or presence of the glottal stop, as a presence or absence of the brave phonation. So Bravi phonation, now it is only in Vietnamese, it is only historical, but still some Vietnamese speakers, when they pronounce, they still use Bravi phonation. For example, person in Vietnamese, it is người. If it is in người falling tone, then, and if it pronounce somebody who is not native speaker, he said that he will say người, but Vietnamese pronounced as người, người, người. So with the Bravi phonation. So we can describe the system of Vietnamese tones differently. It depends on which features we shall choose as phonologically relevant elements. Two tones here, so-called here wavering. It is high tone and broken ga tone. These are the results of disappearing of codas s and h. So it is a disappearing of the fricative codas. And the third column, sac and nang tones, they are results of the existing of the glottal stop. So the first column, there is no glottal stop, and the third column there is glottal stop. So if we level ma, yes, and rising ma, besides changing the you already must pronounce with the final glottal stop, and this is so tone gang and tone sac, they are different. First in tonal contour, but most important, it is the presence of the glottal stop at the end of the syllable in the sac tone. And now this in the low register when falling tone, ma, and nang. It is a fallen tone too, but it has the glottal stop at the end. Na, ma, ma. And so the most archaical codas in Vietic languages are, besides s and h, are l and r too. R is very rare. It encountered only in some words in Rook language, and besides that, in some words in my language, but it is pronounced not stable. Sometimes as r and sometimes as l. And you can see there are some words in my languages, so codas l that have L and R codas, but in Vietnamese it is Y code. And besides that, so if historically the codes were L and R, in most cases, there are Hoi and Nga tones in Vietnamese. Very interesting as for the Bravi phonation. So phonation it acts for the whole syllable, not only on the vocal element. So the syllable with the Bravi phonation is pronounced ma, something aspirated. It is the first, and the second. The quality of the vowel is changed. It became if it is a brave phonation, the vowels are not clear, but are rather diphthongized, and I try to find some.
Rau, rau, rau.
So compare two words.
Rau, rau, rau.
The first one.
Rau, rau, rau. Rau, rau, rau.
So this is my language. It is the low register tone in both cases, in both words. It is a low register tone, but it is very interesting that in first word rau, it is clear vowel.
Rau, rau, rau.
So no brave phonation. And in this case,
Rau, rau, rau.
the vowel has an additional diphthongized very little, but still has, and it is seems that my language gives us another data because 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 Czech languages, my language, it is just the prosodic system of the my language, and you see, so the low register is usually syllables in the low register usually pronounce pronounced with breve phonation, and series in high register they pronounced in modal register. But it is very interesting that our materials in my language show us that there are some cases as this one. So we speak not about phoneme system as usually, but maybe about 8, because there are four main phoneme. It is so first it is a high register. We have glottal stop and modal phonation. Then the third, it is raised only high register, high register, clear modal phonation, and with glottal stop. So first and where is it? So first and third tones, they distinguished so if you see here, so this column is the first prosodic type. The first prosodic type, it is clear phonation, high register without glottal stop. Then second, it is a modal phonation, high register, and glottal stop. then it is series 2, second series, it is brave phonation. Brave phonation, first it is without glottal stop, and brave phonation and glottal stop. But it seems that in my language now it is because there are still some codes as s, h, l, r. So it is not yet the monosyllabization stage. So the prosodic system is in transition. And so it seems that there are some intermediate some intermediate phoneme, but maybe not yet phoneme, but phonetically different phonetically different types, prosodic types. And as so it must be only one, as I have said, so it is without glottal stop, low register, and usually it is breve phonation. But as for my language, there are three traits. It is so it is register, presence, absence of glottal stop, and modal or breve phonation. So we can have eight prosodic types. It is in when the language is changing from disyllabic through sesquisyllabic stage to monosyllabic. In phonological system, there are some things that we cannot estimate. Is it phonologically relevant or is not phonologically relevant? So this time the system of the my language is the same. But it is, and sometimes these features that are not indeed tonal, it is not pitch level. There are some additional phonetic features. For example, this the tone this, it is level or slightly falling tone. This is falling tone. This tone rising tone. This tone is rising too. But changing of level, and of contour, it is not very important at this stage of evolution of my language. And it is very very interesting. So mostly Vietic languages, when they began to change to monosyllabic languages, so they elaborate the tonal system with pitch, level, contour, and so on. But it can be another direction of evolution. For example, RM language. RM language, it is still sesquisyllabic language, but it it has his own his own evolution of prosodic system. So instead of tones, it created two different systems of vowels. And it is enough to distinguish all these syllables as in another languages, but quite different, two different systems. So one, for example, one it is in modal phonation, and another in the braille phonation. So two different systems. The next moment, it is the syllables in my language, syllables with the coda h. In Vietnamese, there is no h, no laryngeal coda, but in Malay and in other Czech languages, there is still this coda. And we can see on our material, we can see that it is intermediate cases. So it seems that language didn't determine yet how to transform this here still the coda her, and how to transform and to pronounce these syllables with the coda her. So we encountered three groups of syllables with the coda her. It is the first, so it is high timbre, modal voice, and slightly rising contour. Slightly rising contour is you can
Ale, ale, ale,
or
B, B,
so as is high modal and slightly rising contour. It is the first group. Then a second group. So it is it is low. It is not high, low. It is breve phonation, and it is a falling tone.
Puntu, Puntu, Puntu,
Yeah. So
Ale, Ale, Ale,
yeah, and this one
Puntu, Puntu, Puntu,
we are quite different. And then the third group, high as the first group, slightly rising, but brave phonation.
Long cha, Long cha, Long cha, Uba, Uba, Uba,
Yeah. So we cannot determine the future, because all syllables that have the final coda, the final h, coda h, yes, these are some correspondences in my Rook into Chit languages and in Vietnamese, yes. And so some syllables with the coda h. Now in modern Vietnamese, it is sometimes no coda, and two different tones hoi, va, or tone ga, yeah. So coda disappeared, and instead of this, rise the new tone. And sometimes coda h. Now in it corresponds in Vietnamese corresponds y, and the tones are the same. The tones are the same. Yeah, and it is the last example. It is very interesting. I said that when it is the breve phonation, the quality of the vowel is not stable. It's somewhat distinguished, and it pronounced chach, chach. And in Vietnamese, you see, so brave phonation, and now in Vietnamese, in the modern Vietnamese, it is a diphthong, not monophthong. It is rather typical that so some historical monophones became diphthong in the modern Vietnamese language. Yeah, so maybe I'll finish. If there are some questions, I can answer them.
Thank you so much, Irina. Very interesting talk. And we have some questions.
Yes.
Jessica Guiar, she's asking if there is a specific reason why tonal languages tend to be monosyllabic. Is it a way to find a sort of equilibrium as tones are very complex? Could you tell us more about that?
Why monosyllabic languages are tonal?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
You see, I can just talk about that. I said that monosyllabization process, yes, monosyllabization process, simplification of the syllable structure. In any case, but after that, there may be different way how to develop a new prosodic system.
Right.
So in most part of the Austroasiatic languages, they are non-tonal. They are monosyllabic. Yes, there are Austroasiatic languages. They are monosyllabic. But their prosodic system is register and phonation. Modal phonation, breve phonation, creaky phonation. So creaky phonation. Yes, and it is another way Yes, another way. Uh, Direction is tonal contour as a pitch.
Oh,
Why? I don't know, because you see, the history is the same. The history is the same, and the direction is the same. You see, but there may be as most Mon Khmer languages, yes, Mon Khmer languages have some registers, differences in register and in phonation, and as I said, tonal languages. But you see, it is very interesting because Vietnamese is quite monosyllabic language, yes, but still, I said that there are two different ways to describe tones. So there are many phonetic features, yes, for each tone there are many phonetic features. So we can choose, yes, so some features, and once we can describe it as totally tonal language, yes, tonal language with pitch and contour. And another way we can describe it in as register, phonation, and glottal stop. So at now modern Vietnamese is still preserved the historical prosodic system of the Austroasiatic languages. So it is the direction. Why, I don't know. And the third, I told you about RM language. Yes, RM language. It is the third way. No tonal, but two different systems of vowels.
yeah. And talking about the glottal stop, Jessica Giarshi has another question. Actually, she's asking you if you could repeat again the relation between the final glottal stops and tones in historical changes in Vietic language, in specific in Shut languages. If you could repeat
in
Shut language.
So the relation of tones and glottal stop, yes?
Yeah.
So all syllables, I have said that all syllables, yes. So what is important? Important. It is register, yes, high, low, register, phonation, and presence or absence of the glottal stop. So, for example, there are two pairs in Vietnamese, yes. For example, two tones, ngang and sak, these tones are in high register, yes. They have a slightly difference in contour, but the most important it is the absence or the presence of the glottal stop. The level tone has no glottal stop, yes, and the rising tone has the glottal stop, final glottal stop, sa, ma, yeah. And it is very interesting when speakers pronounce some syllables. It is not necessary. Sometimes it's not necessary to use all these phonetically different features, because it is enough. If you say in high register, yes, in high register, and this is glottal stop at the end, Never mind, it is the level contour or slightly rising or slightly falling. You know, it is the suck tone with the final glottal stop. And the second pair in the low register, it is the same. It is the same. So the falling tone when the ma, ma. And tone with the falling tone too, but with the final glottal stop, ma, ma. Yeah, it is only difference. It is in presence or absence the glottal stop. It was the question. So,
oh yeah, good. There's another one, Irina. Antonio Magalhães. He says, could you tell us more about the process of collecting your corpora? And how did you find historical data with tones, descriptions, so on, when you're talking about historical chains? How did you collect the data? If you could tell us more.
yes. When we collect our data, the vocabulary are rather big. It is about 4,000 units. 4,000 units. We work through the Vietnamese language. So we can guess in some cases, we can guess what will be the tone or prosodic type, not yet tone, or prosodic type in the language under the research. Yes, and besides that, there are some. Michel Ferlus, French linguist, he worked very much in Vietnam and in Laos on Vietic languages, and we use his reconstruction too. I mostly do language documentation, yes, and contemporary description, contemporary state of phonetics and phonology and so on. But it is still very interesting, and it helps us to hear and to begin to understand how this type or that type of prosodic type are pronounced.
Thank you. There's another question, Lais Bocorni. She asks, do children master the tone system before the segmental system in their language acquisition?
Yeah, you see, it is very interesting, maybe. Vietnamese children, yes, Vietnamese children, the first word that they said when they about maybe 1 year old, yes, 1 year old or 14, 15 months and so on. You see, there is a particle, yes, when you say with respect to somebody, to the elder person, and usually parents, they said, for example, I arrived, I came to visit somebody, and this is a little girl or boy, and mother or father say to grandmother, it is polite, it is a polite particle. So this very tiny segmental element, yes. So it is one of the first words.
Interesting.
So maybe yeah, it is very interesting. Say to grandmother, and he went and greeted me. He couldn't say, grandmother was soon, but
All right. Thank you. I think, well, these were the questions. Thank you so much, Irina. It was, very interesting to learn more about tonal language with you this morning in Brazil morning. I think in Russia now it's afternoon. And
yeah.
thank you very much. And if you now talking to the audience, to the public, please take a look at the Abralin website to see the following lectures, the following talks. And
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.